Είναι το podcast της Stoiximan GBL Man to Man. Powered by Stoiximan.
Γεννημένος στην μπασκετομάνα, όπως θα λέγαμε στα μέρη μας, Ινδιάνα. Γαλουχημένος στο φημισμένο πανεπιστήμιο Princeton, το οποίο έχει βγάλει μέχρι και Αμερικανούς προέδρους. Είναι παντρεμένος με τον μπάσκετ, αλλά όχι μόνο με το άθλημα που αγαπάει, και με μια star του WNBA. Θα τα πούμε και στη συνέχεια. Είναι έτοιμος για κάθε επόμενη πρόκλησή του, αν και δεν αφήνει ποτέ το μπάσκετ που το αγαπάει να καθορίζει τη ζωή του. Έχει φιλοξενήσει δικό του podcast, έχει γράψει ένα παιδικό βιβλίο και έχει ιδρύσει και ένα φιλανθρωπικό ίδρυμα. Θα μας πει για όλα αυτά. Φίλες και φίλοι της Stoiximan GBL, είμαι ο Γιώργος Αδαμόπουλος και σας καλωσορίζω στο Man to Man podcast powered by Stoiximan, το πετυχημένο podcast της Stoiximan GBL, το οποίο μας φέρνει πιο κοντά στους πρωταγωνιστές του αθλήματος που αγαπάμε. Σημερινός προσκεκλημένος ο γκάρντ της Μυκόνου, Ντέβιν Κάναντι. Devin, thank you for being here with us. Καλώς ήρθες.
Thank you. Ευχαριστώ.
Please let us take it from the beginning. A kid from the famous basket city of Indiana. Do you think that basketball was a kind of fate? Do you believe in destiny?
I do. I actually do. I'm from a small town in Indiana. I'm the first of 4 children. And I think when I was young, my dad, he kind of sacrificed his basketball career, having me, him and my mother, when they were pregnant with me. The university that he was at was like a Christian Catholic type of denomination where if you had a child out of wedlock, you had to leave the campus. So he stopped playing. And so as I was raised, my 2.5-year-old daughter's here with me. When I was her age, I would be around basketball courts with him all the time. We'd watch Michael Jordan tapes, playing on our mini basket. So it's kind of just been a part of my life growing up. Being in Indiana, when you're young, the gym sizes are 10,000 people and they're full. So you come here to Europe and you see the fan and their engagement and how much they love the teams. It's kind of like that growing up in Indiana.
So it's similar.
In these small towns. So fate, destiny, it was something that I was good at and continued to love and put time and energy into, and it's taken me a lot of amazing places.
Any Pacers games, or who was your childhood hero from basketball?
My childhood hero is Michael Jordan. So where I'm at in Indiana, it's 2 hours from Indianapolis, 2 hours from Chicago. And my dad was a big Michael Jordan fan, so I grew up liking the Bulls. But I always found myself enjoying watching shooters. So Reggie Miller was someone, Jason Terry from the Dallas Mavericks. Like, these guys were the guys I looked at when I wanted to study basketball or be a fan of basketball.
You played in the University of Princeton, that is well known for its academic program. How did you manage to combine, the high educational standards and playing basketball too?
Yeah. So again, this kind of goes back to like where I'm from, how I was raised. I live 30 minutes from another university that's very well known for its academics called Notre Dame University, University of Notre Dame. In that school, I go to their camps. I was a recruit by them. I would go play. Jerry and Grant was actually a player when I was in high school, and I would go and play against them, while they're in college, I'm in high school. So I know Jerry from then. But that was a school I always had. If they offered me, I'm going. And even if they didn't and wanted me to go, I would just go as a student and walk because I loved the school so much. They didn't offer me, and a lot of the bigger schools that I had written down on these lists of my goals, they never offered me. So when it came to my college decision, I was always a pretty good student, and Princeton University came into the mix. I said, you know what? I'm going to probably stay in school for 4 years. My goal is to make it to the NBA. Let me get a really good education in the process. So that's how I chose Princeton. I'm so glad that I did. The things that I learned off the court, experiences off the court, they carry weight with me to today. And then as a basketball player, you learn a philosophy, the Princeton offense. You learn how to play. And that's helped me in my career. I think a big reason why I made it to the NBA was not how I was as a player, what I did, but just how I thought, the way I was able to play and help other people. So, yeah.
So you think, that this academic discipline helped navigate your basketball path?
I really do, yeah.
You went undrafted. Did that disappoint you?
Well, I'll say this. It motivated me. I won't say it disappointed me. I've always been pretty realistic with my journey. I think, knowing that I'm not someone who's 191, 194, 6'4", I'm a shooter, but I'm in the body of a traditional point guard. I'm not a great point guard, ball handling playmaker. I've always been pretty realistic with myself. Will teams want to draft someone like that? Probably not. what's it going to take for someone like myself to make it? You have to stand out and be exceptional at one thing. For me, it's always been my shooting ability. But also, how can you show something that's not on a stat sheet? How can you show passion? How can you show, leadership, teamwork, these types of things? So when I went undrafted...
And being a good teammate?
All these things. So when I went undrafted, I just said, look, to the 60 guys that did get drafted, congratulations, but I'm hungry and I'm going to make it to the NBA. That was always my thing. So I went to the G League, and I'm sure you know the story, and we can talk about it.
How was the transition from college basketball to the G League and then to Europe?
Yeah. The first transition was I played at a smaller school, Princeton. The talent level that we played on in a night out basis, they weren't the biggest, most athletic players. So I had a pretty decent college career, I'd say, from in Princeton standards, one of the best. So when you get to summer league, when you get to these NBA workouts where you're going up against Tyler Hero, you're going up against just guys who have still been in the league to this day, you see the talent level is so much different. The size is different. So for me, I think my shooting ability was always the separator. Guys may be more athletic, maybe stronger, but they have to respect me as a shooter. So defensively, I think it was an adjustment. In the NBA and the G League, there's so much more space. College and Europe are more similar because you can be in the paint. So I think that actually was to my benefit. So I could cut, I could move, get my shot off. So I think my adjustment took some time, but once I figured it out and understood what it would take for me to make it as an NBA player, I just zeroed in on that. I worked my tail off. Patty Mills and Bryn Forbes were always my player comparisons. And so I watched a lot of film. How did they make it? And eventually I did. I got the call up by the Magic after winning a G League championship, and that was really why.
Before going back to the NBA and the G League, you have spent the last 2 seasons in Greece with Panιώνιο and Mυκόνου this season. What are the biggest differences in style and physicality from the G League? And the tension and perhaps the number of the games?
Yeah. I think there's no comparison. There's really no comparison. I think when you look at the G League, and I played in the G League for 5 years. Some people said, you probably stayed too long. I said, this is my journey. I was all in on making it back to the NBA. And that was the path that I believed truly in the heart of hearts that I should have taken, and I did. I have no regrets. But now, being that I've put that side of my career to bed and said, we're all in here in Greece, hopefully as we continue into Europe, what kind of European competition that may be, the Greek League is the most physical type of basketball I've ever played. You're allowed to be physical depending on certain situations, So I've been able to, use my physicality on defense more. The importance of every game. I'll just tell us a quick story. My first game, Panionio's last year, first game in Europe, first game in Greece. Coach Lυκογιάννη, he tells me, look, you're guarding Andrew Godlock. This guy is a killer. I'm like, okay, he's a killer. Yes, he played in the NBA however many years ago. I played in the NBA. Like, I'm a killer too. That's what I told him. He's a killer, so am I. And Godlock comes out, and I think the first 3 minutes he had 7 or 9 points on me. Lυκογιάννη pulls me out, looks at me as I'm walking down the bench, and it's true. It's like you don't realize how a loss against Colossus at home, your first game, how that could impact the standings. And so I have a lot of respect for Coach for being as difficult and as demanding as he was on me, especially at the time. I didn't know it was my first time in Europe, but it makes sense. And now I take that kind of importance and energy into these games here in Mykonos.
After that first experience, how was, your first season? It was like you imagined as far as the outcome or your adjustment?
No, I think it was below the standard that I set for myself. I do set a pretty high bar, but it took some weeks for me to really understand, like, how can I show my talents in this setting, in this offense, understanding that every possession in the G League, you can come down, you could take 2 or 3 crazy 3-point shots in a row, no one would care. You do that one time, you're out of here, So it was trying to find a balance of bringing my personality, but also understanding time, possession, fouls, all these things. Like I think that's why, and I value and I respect so much European basketball, and I love, being here and the adjustment and learning. But my first 4 or 5 weeks in the Greek league, I thought I was going to get sent home. Like, truthfully. I had a really good game against PAOK. I think there was a stretch in January and February where I started figuring it out. So overall, and we made the playoffs, which last year our goal was the 6th place spot with Panionio's. I know that team and that fan base is super passionate. But just even making it to that 7th spot against Olympiacos, I thought was really good with kind of the season we had. And for me, I thought it was okay. And my goal was to come back to Greece. I said, you know what? I want to come back to Greece a second year and do better. So whether I'm doing better or not, I guess that's for everyone else to decide. But, I'm having a good year so far with Mykonos, I believe.
What do you like the most about Mykonos' season so far? And the island and the team?
Yeah. I think when first things first, when I got the call, this is middle of June, I got the call from my agent, hey, Mykonos, Greek League, they want to send an offer. The first thing I said was absolutely not. First thing I said.
Why is that?
I said no. Because as a player who came from the NBA, came from the G League, you have your first year in Europe or in Greece, because you're not even playing European basketball yet. I was like, I need to play European competition. I feel like I can play in Champions League, Euro Cup, and I think it will be good for me to see different styles, put myself in different markets. So for me, not only was it, doing 1 game a week again, I don't want to do that, but also I was like, what's it going to look like when Ντέβιν Κάναντι signs with Mykonos? When you hear Mykonos, you think party. You think this island that's, what it's known for.
That's true.
It's his first time being in A1. So initially, and I'll get to why I did sign and how I believe that was the best choice for me in my career. But initially I said no. One, because I thought I was going to go back to Panionio. So knowing they're going to play Euro Cup, I said, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I was hungry to double down and show the team, the organization, the fans that I'm better than kind of the product I showed throughout the year. The Panionio situation went a different way. Mykonos came back. Hey, we only have a couple more days. We're going to look elsewhere. Talking with my agent, everyone. This team and the vision that our sports director, George, the presidents, Coach Yagos, everybody, the vision that they really laid out for me, I said, you know what, that actually aligns perfectly with where I'm trying to do. As I'm growing in my career, this team is growing. It's first year into A1. I have a little bit of experience. The way we wanted to play fast, get some shots up, like really have this DNA of putting your energy, your passion into both offense and defense. I said, that's how I play. So I was excited when I heard that, hey, I'm all in on this. My initial reaction at first was what it was, like, I'll be honest, but then I made the decision, I got here, and I mean, we're in the hunt.
You talked about the similarities from college basketball to European from the fans' perspective, but how do you handle all this pressure that the owners, the media, the fans put on the player soldiers?
Yeah, I'll say if I said pressure, I feel like pressure means there's a high level of expectation. I don't actually call that pressure as a player. I think that's what comes with it. It's part of the job.
It's basketball.
It's basketball, right? I'm sure a lot of people here in Greece know what pressure really means on a day-to-day basis when it comes to trying to take care of their family, going out and putting food on the table, having a roof over their head. Like, I understand that from my upbringing, my mom, my father, the struggles that they had to make sure me and my siblings were okay. Like, that's pressure. So when it comes to this basketball and it comes to trying to put in the hoop and coming out with a victory, that just comes with the job. So I think there's more of that here than in the G League, in the NBA even. College may have some similarities, but I just think for me, when a team signs me, they give me the contract, they say, hey, we're bringing you here to do a job, I take that very seriously. And so last year with Panionio's, we made the playoffs. We have a chance to do that again this year. That's something I value very high. It's a standard I keep, and it's something that as the fans, the coaches, everyone kind of expects of the team as a leader. In the locker room, I'm, hey guys, this is what we're here to do, so let's do it.
You were the 2021 G League Finals MVP with the Lakeland Magic. When you look back at this championship run, what is the thing, the specific memory that sticks with you the most?
Yeah, it is a good memory. I'll say, I think in my career, that time period, it kind of spoke to what happened before that. And 9 months, a year before that was COVID. And I remember being with Long Island my first year, hearing from a couple of teams that, you know, the way Kanandy's playing, he's considered someone to get a call up to the NBA. I actually, once COVID hit and the NBA went to the NBA bubble where the Lakers, you know, and LeBron won the championship, I got a call from...
I say that they did win the championship.
Okay, there
That's
you go.
my opinion.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. And some people, they don't validate that, oh, it's a Mickey Mouse championship. But we won a Mickey Mouse championship in the bubble, so I don't say it's Mickey Mouse at all. So, but when I went home during COVID, and I got a call from the Nets assistant GM, they said, hey, a couple guys aren't going to the bubble. Your name is on a very short list of guys we wanted to bring. But because most of our veterans, I think it was Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyrie, KD, DeAndre, I think a lot of the vets didn't go. They said, we're going to bring in Jamal Crawford to the bubble. And again, you asked earlier, was I disappointed or things? I looked at that and it, again, motivated me again. Ντέβιν Κάναντι and Jamal Crawford's name are next to each other on the list. That means you're really close. So during COVID, I was super locked in. I was doing ball handling clinics through Zoom for kids all over the country. I had like 90 kids on a Zoom when I'm just dribbling, you know, just providing something to do. But it kept my mind sharp as I go to the Magic and their training camp and then to the G League. I was just super focused, super locked in. We came away with the championship. My best game of the season, I was the MVP. And then 2 weeks later, I got the call to the Orlando Magic wanted to sign me. So that period of time, it brings back a lot of memories. At the same time, it's like, I want that feeling again somewhere. So now it's in Europe. You know, where am I going to find the opportunity to get a championship, help a team win? That's kind of where my mind's at now. But during that time, I lived my dream. You know, my dream was, as a kid, was to make it to the NBA, and I did it, so.
Ακούτε το podcast της Stoiximan GBL Man to Man. Powered by Stoiximan.
How is training with Kyrie and KD? And is there a specific or impactful piece of advice that you carry on from a veteran from the NBA?
Yeah. I had a chance to really spend some quality time with those guys, you know, being in that organization and working out with them. I don't even think it's something they say to you. It's something that you have to observe and something that you take. So I look at Kyrie, I look at KD. These are guys who are making money that a lot of people will never see, their families will never see in their lifetime. They show up, if it's a 1 o'clock workout, they're there at 12, maybe before 12, getting their body right. They have physios, you know, massaging them. They're getting and this is for an hour workout where it's not even that intense. And you look at someone, let's say like myself, who is who's on the fringe, trying to make it, trying to break through. It's like if you got guys at the top level that are taking this serious, I think it's mandatory for you to do the same. So I don't know. Some people may look at it differently, but I just looked at their preparation, the way they study. They watch so much basketball. Like, if you're not watching, let's say, the Greek League, if you're not watching every game and seeing what guys are doing, what teams are doing, if you're not watching EuroLeague, if that's a level you want to get to, I don't think you're giving yourself the best chance. So I just think watching those guys, their preparation, that's what stands out the most.
You returned from that severe open fracture of your right ankle while playing for the Orlando Magic. How was that experience, and how has reshaped your mental approach of the game?
Yeah. Okay. So we went from a championship, a finals MVP, getting the call that you're making it to the NBA. I signed a 2-year two-way, which meant, from my eyes, like, look, this team is valuing my growth. They're valuing the ability to get better, to develop. So, okay, I'm here. Like, now it's time to turn up a notch. I just scored 17 points against the Pelicans. I'm on the court with Zion, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo. James Nunnally was on a two-way. I'm thinking back to the time, and it's like you kind of see the paths crossing. And I just helped lead the team in scoring. Okay, we lost by 30, but you're showing this guy can play at this level. Very next game, I'm getting in the first quarter. I'm part of the rotation, and then the open ankle. And I remember when I went down, I remember the feeling, the pain of the injury, but I also remember in my head at that exact moment saying a prayer in my head, because I knew something was wrong. Like, God, thank you for giving me this. Not why now, why of all the times I just made it. It was like, you've taken me to the highest. You're giving one of your strongest soldiers something to do. And I hope that this injury can help people see Jesus, help people see the kingdom of God through someone who probably shouldn't have made it to the NBA in the first place. A lot of people would say that. But you giving me this, let it help build your kingdom. And that was my prayer in essence. It was a 9-month rehab where I really kind of put things into perspective. Like, basketball is fleeting. Like, you can be at the mountaintop one moment, and just like that, it can all be taken away. So,
is it lonely, all this procedure and the path to come back?
It can be. I had a really, really good village. My wife now, who was my girlfriend at the time, she was super supportive. Obviously, my family. I had a good team around me to help me get back. But you have to have resilience. You have to have the mindset as an individual. You can have the most help around you, but if you're not focused, if you're not taking care of your mental state, it's not going to be worth it. So I was really focused. I knew, look, if I made it once, I can make it again. So I'm getting back from injury. I ended up being, I think, second in the G League in three-point percentage and made it back to the NBA again. And again, what I prayed on the ground when I got the injury was, use me how you see fit. I think that's what happened. And it shows, like, when you really place your faith in God, you put work in, you have the mindset, he can do amazing things. So
I had a question, if that the next steps you took has restored your faith in the so-called second chance, but I guess you answered it.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
You talked about your wife, Katie Lou Samuelson. She suffered an injury before the NCAA semifinal in 2016 with UConn. She tested positive in COVID-19 before playing 3x3 in the Tokyo Olympics. In 2019, she talked about mental health. What advice do you have for players facing their own setbacks from your experiences and your wife's?
Yeah. I think if you just kind of wrote down on a list year by year between myself, my wife, the kind of setbacks that we've experienced. She's 2 months out from the season and recovering from an ACL injury. 2 years ago, our beautiful daughter, she was giving birth to her and missed the season because of it. And so it's like, when it comes to your career, especially as basketball players, and you want things to go smooth, it should be a straight ride all the way to the top with championships, no injuries. Like, that's very rare. I don't think that's actually ever happened. So something's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen in your basketball career, I'm sure it's going to happen at some point in your life. So setbacks, disappointments, whatever you want to call it, they'll happen. That's why I say having the right people around you is very important, because even when you may not be able to lift yourself up out of, let's call it a depression from an injury, the anxiety of, am I going to get my next contract? What's going to happen? Having people, whether it's family, a therapist, actually being open about how you're feeling, the worries that you have, to bring you back to the moment, to say, what can you control now? Whether that's your breathing first and foremost, whether that's, okay, if you're worried about missing shots in the future, have you put work in today? Have you gone to the gym with a clear head just to see the ball go in the basket? These are the things that, my wife, myself, we're trying to sprinkle into our daughter as she is running around. And I'll just tell you, as a father right now, what we're dealing with my daughter is, Daddy, I can't do it. Baby, I wrote a book called Aaliyah Can. Trust me, you can, but let's teach ourselves how our words have meaning. You don't say you can't. Say, okay, it's too hard, but I'm going to keep trying. So that's something as a father that I'm trying to do with her. And so when it comes to, mental health and things like that, I just think your mind is very strong, it's powerful. So be careful what you're feeding it and what you're speaking.
Is a marriage to a professional bowler an easiest way for both of you to adjust in the way of life for the professional athletes?
I think or
it's difficult, I'm sorry.
For sure.
that you have to live alone, both of you, at certain periods.
I'll say this. I wouldn't want it any other way. I think if I'm speaking for my wife, she looks at our relationship, how we value each other. Obviously, we have some inherent sacrifices trying to both be high-level athletes. with a child. Like right now, you know, and this is part of, once I decided to go overseas and this was my time to take this jump, there's been a lot of times where she's had the burden of playing at a high level, trying to play at a high level and watching and taking care of our daughter, whether we have help from grandparents and things like that. And, you know, I'm at a period of time where we're on the island of Mυκόνου. She has a school, she has a nanny, there's a good, nice village. And I said, look, you're getting back from your injury right now. I know it may be difficult, but like, let me have some of this quote unquote burden with our daughter. Focus on getting your mind, getting your knee, getting your body right. Aaliyah and I myself will be okay. It's going to be difficult. So back to your point, is it good? Is it difficult? I think it's beautiful. And part of that beauty is the struggle. And then the other part is, you know, the amazing things that we can see out of it. So my daughter and I are in Greece, you know, finishing the season. We're excited to get back to the States afterwards and support my wife. So it's a great balance, but I think we do a good job.
Is there a skill of Katie Lou's game that perhaps you would love to have in your game?
I think height is definitely a big one. You know, if I had, you know, a little more height, you know, it'd be great. But she can do it all, especially in women's basketball. She's like a hybrid 3-4, where she can post, she can turn fade, she has a great shot. I think I'm more of like a hustle guy. I do the dirty work. I'll dive on the floor, be scrappy. But that's how I've had to try and make a living and make it. So when we look at her, when we look at me, I give my hat off. I say, she's the one I'm trying to continue to strive to be like. So I give a lot of love and respect to my wife.
You mentioned your book, your child book. What was the major inspiration about it besides your daughter?
Yeah, we were going on our honeymoon and we were to Hawaii and we were talking about just like, man, like we're about to be parents. This is crazy. And she was talking about how her grandmother wrote children's books that they would read. So on the flight, I was like, let me take a stab at it. And literally by the time we went from Los Angeles to Hawaii, I had what is now the book. It was the rough draft of pretty much what you see in the book. And okay. So her grandmother inspired me, just the concept of putting something out there, as you know, from your mind through the pen or the iPad and something that can live long after you're gone, something that may inspire a parent to tell their child, you can do something. But I wanted that to be something that, you know, long after I'm gone, Aaliyah, as she grows older and as a kid, but, you know, one day maybe when she has kids, you know, Aaliyah can. I think there's something so powerful about speaking life into a child, but just speaking life in general. You can do anything if you believe in yourself. So that's the book. Anyone out there with kids, Aaliyah can, Amazon.com, you got it.
You also had your own podcast, Run Your Own Race, if I'm right. How was that experience?
I've never had a setup like this on my podcast. It was, you know, put the earphones in, you're on Zoom. This is actually inspiring me, this setup, you know. If I'm back in Greece next year, maybe I'll work with you guys alongside, get the Run Your Own Race podcast back going. But that was fun. It was fun listening, just really being open, asking questions, hearing people's perspectives. It's on their journey. And like I say, with Run Your Own Race, like everyone has their own journey. In a locker room, you have 12 guys, you have coaches. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. Everyone has their own story. And I think there's value in sharing that. I'm sure if I really sat down, we grab some coffee, some Freddo espresso, offset, learn a lot from you, and maybe that can help me in my path. So that podcast was great. Maybe we'll get it back going, like I said, but the mindset and the motto, Run Your Own Race, stays the same.
What led you to your charity foundation and what is it about?
Yeah, no, it's the Kennedy Family Foundation. I just think when I look at my career, when I look at my wife's career, in 7 years of playing professional basketball, I think we've touched 4 countries. My wife has played in Spain, France, I'm in Greece, and obviously the States. In those 4 countries, I think we've played on a total of 12 teams combined. And so I'm like, look, if we're constantly in different places, and we don't really have the time to really deeply root ourselves into the communities, to find impact and make impact in these communities. Let's use a foundation. Let's create a foundation so that when we are in these places, there's a way to actually make an impact. And so we started with a camp back in my hometown the goal is to do something in Mykonos. Mykonos has been an amazing, like I say, village for my family. I feel like I'm a part of the community now, and you see how powerful Mykonos being in the top division is for the people here. You see it in the wins and even in the losses. I was with an organization last year where you lose a game you're not supposed to, the fans will let you know, and in this case, the fans will just let you know that they're there to support you. So that's unique. I don't think you find that a lot in Europe. I want to do something through our foundation to...
Is a connection to every local culture an easier way to play? It helps basketball. I think
so. I think, I go to a coffee shop and you see someone who's telling you, Kennedy, good job, or, hey, good luck against Ike, I'm Ike, but I'm also Mykonu, whatever they say, And so you get this sense that you're not just here away from your family, thousands of miles away from home, isolated. You can become a part of this community. You're representing Mykonos on your chest every time you go out there. There was a history way before you got here. There's going to be a history far after I'm gone. But in this moment, how can you connect? How can you become one with them? We say Oli Mazi, right? All together. And so if we're going to be all together, you got to be a part of it. And that's how I look at connecting, trying to learn some Greek, which maybe we could talk a little bit.
Okay.
We'll see. But that's something that I value. And so I think it's better that way, at least for me and my family.
If we take for a while basketball away, what is your greatest wish?
Yeah, well, here, I'll pass the basketball if that's the case. So we'll pass the basketball. If basketball is gone, my greatest wish outside of being an amazing husband and father is to really make an impact, change as many lives for the better as possible. So I think because I've had basketball be a tool that's taken me a lot of places with a lot of experiences, for me, that's the easiest way, the easiest tool to use to drive that impact. I think that's kind of where the Canady Family Foundation, if you look at our logo, it's like a basketball that has like a heart with a seed and that has sprout into like a plant or a flower with 6 like people, myself, my wife, my daughter. So I think, again, planting these seeds, whether it's basketball, expressing mindset and, how to believe in yourself, basketball is the tool. And for someone else, it may be a piano. For someone else, it may be their brain and how they're able to use it to make a change. So I'll just use that basketball tool in the future to make as much impact as possible.
Besides basketball talent, what do you consider as your greatest personal virtue? Or your mindset and approach in basketball and life too?
I would say resilience, determination, and I think showing up and being consistent. So determination, resilience, and consistency. I think whether that applies to basketball or anything, to get into a school like Princeton and then to graduate from a school like Princeton, those are 2 separate things. You can get in, but can you stay? And can you get that degree? And when I say one of the biggest challenges probably in my life was that balance, knowing like I'm here at this really prestigious institution where a lot of people will go on to have success in their lives, but I'm also here to be 0.001% in the world at basketball. So how can I be a great student, but also be putting in extra work than the next person? So that balance was challenging, but when you're determined, you're resilient, and you show up being consistent, you find ways to be successful. So I'll say those.
If your daughter or a kid from Indiana in the next years asks you what is basketball and what it takes to be successful, what's your response?
We're in Greece when we have these philosophical questions. What is basketball? What is basketball? Well, it's much more than a game, but at the same time, it is just a game, right? So I think to find success in this game, I'd say be all in. Be all in the sense that if you're going to play and you want to find a way to make it to the next level, don't lose the joy and the fun that comes from a kid's game, but also have this drive to get better. And if that means you're not good dribbling with your left hand, well, when you go to practice, and you should be there maybe first, be the first one there. Do dribbling with your left hand. And the first day, you're going to lose the ball all the time. And if you keep trying really hard, by the next week, okay, you've got this down. By the next week, you're actually doing dribble moves into a left-handed layup. Over time, when someone looks at this kid, I just remember they couldn't dribble with their left hand. Now that's how it works. So it's just a game. But if for you, finding that balance of the joy that you had when you were a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid, and then the drive that it takes to be playing into your 40s, like LeBron or Steph or, Huertas, all these guys, Slukas, shout out to, the Greeks out here. So that's what I would say.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Αυτός ήταν ο Ντέβιν Κάναντι και τον ευχαριστώ που μοιράστηκε μαζί μας μερικές από τις εμπειρίες του από το ταξίδι και την καριέρα του. Μείνετε συντονισμένοι στο Man to Man Powered by Stoiximan, το πετυχημένο podcast της Stoiximan GBL, για περισσότερες αφηγήσεις από σημαντικούς ανθρώπους του αθλήματος που αγαπάμε. Καλή συνέχεια με πολύ και καλό μπάσκετ.